Hey everybody, this is Cahlen, and today I'm out in the middle of nowhere, actually climbing up to the top of this mesa that you see behind me. And my goal here is to get up there and then find a valley that I know is on the other side of it, that has a river and all that type of stuff, that basically nobody visits, hardly any people. And so I'll have it mostly to myself. So some of you know I have a solar electric bike and I can hold a lot of food and travel pretty far. But my bike is broken down and I really wanted to go on a extended retreat into the wilderness, and so I decided, well, it's time to test out to see how well equipped I am for an on-foot adventure. So my goal is to get up there, last a week, all with what I'm able to carry on my person while I'm walking. So let's give you a quick little rundown of where I am. Basically, I'm on the side of a super volcano. It's one of the biggest volcanoes in the entire world, and they use it as the perfect example of how a super volcano forms. And so I can actually show you on a map what that looks like. Here is where I am, and then I'll start zooming out. And now you can kind of see this volcano, and you can kind of see how big it is compared to the rest of the state of New Mexico that I'm in. It takes up a pretty large chunk. So anyways, I'm on the side of a volcano. All of this that you see around me is basically sitting on the top of ash, which was spewing from this thing for probably millions of years. I'm not sure how long it was going off, but it was about a million years ago. Although this volcano is still active. I think it erupted about 1,000 years ago, but it's never like those really big ones that it used to be. And this mountain is called the Valles Calderas, or just the general range that I'm in is called the Jemez Mountains. So let me show you the valley that I'm currently in. So you can see there's another mesa on the other side of me. So I'm in between two mesas, and you can see the little town down there. That is Jemez Springs, and more specifically what we're looking at is a Catholic monastery, though I think they may have sold it. And on the other side of it are some old native ruins, which the Catholics basically came in and forced the natives to build. So this place has a pretty long history when it comes to that kind of stuff. So this is the valley. There's the Jemez River down there, which forms this big gap between the piles of ash. And then if I climb up that mesa, which is what I'm doing today, then there is another valley formed by another river on the other side. So this is the basic gear that I have. You can see I have a pretty big backpack, but it's also kind of set up to be ultra light, so it's not too bad on my shoulders and that type of stuff. When I first start out on a journey, it's a little heavier than it is at the end because I'm carrying all that water and I'm carrying all that food, and as I consume it, or when I reach a place where, where I have water and I don't need to carry it anymore, then everything gets a lot lighter. So I also have these. These are basically trekking poles. They kind of look like ski poles, and when I first saw people out on the trail with these things, I thought it was kind of weird. But now that I've been using these, especially when I have something really heavy on my back, it's just so helpful to have these to help steady myself when I'm climbing up things or climbing down things or trying to cross streams and that type of thing. So these are totally invaluable, and I definitely recommend them if you're carrying a heavy load. So the rest of the day I'm just going to be heading up to the top, and when we get up there you'll see just how different it is up there than it is here. It's like its own little different climate. Hey, so I'm about halfway up now, and something pretty bizarre just happened. So I don't know if you can see behind me, about halfway up it changes to a pine forest, but the canyon, the valley that we looked at before, is right behind me. And I heard a really loud noise, like a plane, and I'm like, oh, I'll look way up and see if I can see it. But actually, it was like, it looked like a 747 or something, but with no painting on it, just gray, and it flew like at this level through the canyon, like lower than these trees. So I don't know what the heck that's all about. Seems kind of dangerous or secretive, which would make sense since Los Alamos, which is the place where they created the nuclear bomb and where they still do various other unknown research, is actually very nearby on this volcano. So for that reason, I actually think of this volcano as Mount Doom. But yeah, I stay as far away from that place as I can. So anyways, let's look You can see that's the last half of the mesa that I have to climb up, so that's where I'm going next. So I'm up at the top now. I've reached my destination for the day, and I'm just going to go a little bit further into the forest which is up here. But I want to give you a little bit of a look where I am. You see that mesa way back there. I'm on the other side of this valley here at a mesa that's equally as high. And you can see the town down there, very green. It's a very small town, Jemez Springs, but there's a river that goes through it, so that's where it's getting most of its life. And that plane I told you about flew by going that direction, which is up towards the crater and up towards Los Alamos. And I would say is 500 to 1,000 feet lower than I am right now. So it was flying through the ravine, which means they were trying to evade radar detection. So interesting. Anyway, so I'm going to take a little break and then I'm going to continue on that way. So for my break, I am snacking on some of this, which is basically, if you've seen Lord of the Rings, there's something called lambda bread or something like that, which is the food that the elves give to Frodo when he's on his journey to take the ring back and throw it into the fires of Mount Doom. And this is like a special food because it never goes bad, and it's very filling, so eating just a tiny bit will keep you satiated for a long time. And that's very true of what this is as well, which is kind of my own little variation of something called hardtack. And hardtack was something that when we were doing a lot of sailing on the seas, or a lot of like war campaigns, sending soldiers long distances and needing to feed them. This kind of thing was what was used because it would stay edible, not go bad for a very long time, including like years or even decades. So we have some hardtack from the Civil War, which was over 100 years ago, which you could still eat today. And so this variation I made, instead of with wheat flour, because I try to avoid wheat, with oat flour that I ground up myself, and then I added chocolate, cinnamon, which is also going to help with the it not going bad. And then add a little bit of water to it and bake it out so that it's completely dry. And these little holes that you see, which maybe you notice in other types of crackers, which is where they got this idea, is these holes allow it to get rid of its water more easily when it's in the oven. So you actually leave it in the oven for hours and hours, and then this stuff will stay good for years. Anyways, so it's a very light and but filling snack, which I know isn't going to go bad, and so it's nice to have on the trail. And then I also have this, which I'm calling the Wizard's Brew, which is basically hot chocolate with coconut oil and cinnamon added to it, and it basically just gives me lots of energy. And I'll show you, I have it in concentrated form, and when I make it tomorrow morning, I'll show you that. So cheers, and then I'll show you as I explore further in. Another thing worth mentioning real quick is when you're out here for more than a couple days, it can be good to make sure you have a way to charge your devices up. You can see I have this foldable solar panel which fits very easily into my pack, and I'm currently recharging my cell phone. Pretty much able to charge everything that I'm using, which uses electricity out here, including my flashlight, my lighter, and various things like that. So I'll show you more about that in a couple of days. While exploring up here, I came across this stony green area, and it has a lot of edible plants in it, which makes me think someone was cultivating it here at one point. And then I came across this, which is basically the foundation of a building or some structure that they were doing something with. So there's a big indent into the ground, and then you can see the stones were stacked. And I think all of these stones laid about here probably were used for structures at one point, and there's a lot of little dips all over this place, just like the one I'm right next to. Alright, I've reached my destination for the evening. I'm gonna camp here, and this is a place that I found when I made this trek about a month ago. And when I got up here, it was totally freezing cold. Big difference than where I was when I was down in the valley. And it's still colder here now than it is down in the valley, but it's quite a bit warmer than when I was up here before. And so you can see there's a bunch of rusted barrels and things like that. And maybe behind me you can tell that there's the remains of an old log cabin. Now, there's actually several of these log cabins strewn about here. I'd say I found at least 4 of them. And if I look at a map, it says that this place is called Jemez Hot Springs, and it says it's a quarry. Or a mine, basically. So I've done a little bit of investigation around here. I never found anything that they were mining. And when I'm researching, like online and in the libraries and stuff like that, I don't find anything about this place other than the fact that it was a quarry. They don't say what they were quarrying or who was up here or anything like that. But it seems like it was a long time ago. So I'm gonna just show you a few of the things that I have found around here. So this can was modified to be used for some purpose other than containing something. And it might have been attached to this thing. They might have even used it as a wood stove or a furnace of some kind. You can see it's got a top they modified, looks like maybe for a chimney. And then here's this little, I don't know, maybe an oven or just for a car. There are some old roads that come up here. Looks like an old gas tank, maybe for a car. And this thing's not as rusted. Looks like just for carrying water. Now, not too far away from the log cabin is this whole area, which is just strewn with old tin cans, just food that they were eating, all over the place. And every single cabin up here has that type of situation. And over here, check it out, a spork. Now this spork is actually my spork, and I left it here accidentally when I came up here last time, and I wasn't sure where it was, and I've been wondering. I actually got a replacement spork, and I thought, well, maybe it's still up there. So when I got here, I checked where I was camped, and there it was sitting right there. So now I have 2 sporks. Here is another one of those log cabins. This one is nearby to the one I just showed you. So down the hill from that cabin you just saw is this little dried up creek bed, which maybe at one point was consistently flowing. And I think it was flowing maybe a little while ago, because there's places where I can find standing water. Now the peak of the mountain's up that way, so snow melting would definitely be the source of where this water is coming from. So before I settled down for dinner, I checked to see if I had cell service, and I do up here on top of the mesa. And so I went to the maps and basically downloaded satellite pictures, and I saw something that looked like an artificial structure. And so I walked about a mile to come and check out what it was. And as you can see, it's right there behind me, and let's take a closer look at it. As you can see, it looks like it basically catches water and then drains it down into the center there, and maybe holds it in here. And then I think there's piping under the ground. See this thing here? Yeah, there's a pipe down there. And then it comes out with this little artificial pond. So I guess if I needed water without going into the valley, I could get it here, though it looks pretty full of iron. So after a long day of exploring, naturally the mind starts to think about, ooh, what can I eat? And luckily I brought lots of things with me. I carry all my food in these things, and this is food safe plastic, and it holds 32 ounces each. I have 4 of them, and this one contains basically, you could think of it as my greens, which is just chlorella and spirulina tablets. And these are really good for you for a lot of reasons, and I'll do another video about that sometime. You'll see more about this tomorrow. This is the Wizard's Brew. This is the hot chocolate concentrate. And then let's see, I think I'm gonna have white rice tonight because I just feel like something kind of really substantial. I might add a little bit of this, which is I think I call it the healthy vegan survival food, which is like ground up lentils, rice and all kinds of other good things. But I think I'll just add that for flavor tonight. But first, got to get this stove going. Now this is a titanium stove. It actually packs up and fits inside of this titanium pot. And I have this little lighter here, and I just fill this with sticks and twigs, and I have a little thing which is cotton balls and Vaseline basically, and this stuff lights really quickly. And then I basically just spread this stuff out and stick it right here on the edge, and I take the striker and I strike it. You can see it lit up really easily. I'm going to let it go for a minute, and then I'm going to just let it fall down into the sticks below. Alright, so dinner is ready, and I'm just going to go ahead and start dishing up. Doesn't that look good? It's because it is good. And then I'm just going to pour some of these little green things in here. And that's dinner. Bon appetit. Alright, so the sun's starting to go down and it's starting to get chilly. It's probably going to get almost to freezing tonight, but it's not going to rain, so I don't need to put up my tarp to protect me from that. So I'm just going to use a few things, and first I'm going to use something called a bivy sack, which fits into this little thing. This is very, very light. It's basically like a cover that goes around my sleeping bag. In case it does start to rain, I can just kind of zip myself into this and be fine. And then I have my sleeping pad, and this thing again is also very tiny and light. And it's an inflatable pad, and I've tried lots of pads, and this thing is absolutely amazing. It's more comfortable than any bed I can think of ever sleeping on. So it's great. I definitely recommend having one of these. And then my sleeping bag is a little bit bigger than you would normally get for an ultralight backpacking type situation. But I do a lot of backpacking up in the high elevations, and so it can get pretty cold. And this backpack keeps me warm basically almost no matter how cold it is. I've never been somewhere where it didn't keep me warm. So I'm just going to lay all that out and then start getting ready for bed. So that's what it looks like when it's all set out. And I'll just climb in there when I'm ready to go to sleep and be toasty warm all night. Alright, I'm all tucked in, ready to go to sleep. Really looking forward to some nice rest. And you may notice I have a mosquito net over me. I noticed that there's quite a few mosquitoes about, and actually it's not such a bad thing as long as I can protect myself. And it also tells me that there is some water nearby because that's where they breed. So anyways, I guess I'll go looking for that. Maybe I already found it, earlier at that tank, and I don't know if I want to drink that, but maybe there's some other water around here. So that's for tomorrow, and that'll be another video. So if you want to check that out, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you next time.